This is Andi Purewal, Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by Joe Gallagher once again here in Bolton. Joe, first and foremost, how you doing?
Yeah, good to see you again, mate.
Good to see you too, pal. And obviously, as I mentioned, we're here in Bolton. Everybody's back now. Everybody's ticking over. Where to start? I think we'll start off with Liam Smith, obviously, because I saw Liam on Saturday attending the Cal Brook fight. I spoke to Liam earlier, and I said to him, when Cal first moved up to 154 and when Liam had signed with Matchroom, people kind of put their names together thinking something could be produced for a potential fight, but they both kind of said it wasn't in their plans because they wanted to go down other routes. They was looking at world titles back then. Why now do you think they're looking at a potential bout there between Cal and Liam?
I think it's more so on Kel's side, or Kel's management, or Sky, more than anyone that's pushing it, because there's nothing really out there for Kell Brook. Liam Smith is number 2 in the WBO now. The Champion 6 hero is fighting his mandatory, and Liam knows he just sits tight, he'll become the mandatory and get his world title shot. So I think it's more so them pushing it more than anything else. I don't think it's Liam being desperate at all and wanting the fight. It's Sky that's phoning up Liam, asking him to go down and try to drum the fight up. And like Liam says, if they want to talk it up, then great. And then by talking it up, then they've got to realise that they've got to pay the money for that type of fight, and they've got to realise that Liam Smith is the A side. He's the one. The higher ranking, the former world champion in that weight division, and there's a few things that we're speaking to Liam, and like Liam has said, like you say, he's got to be the A side. That's it. He's on fire. He's giving up his ranking. He's bringing that to the table. Kel's just moved up to 154, and there's just them type of things. And if they're serious about the fight and talking about the fight, as Jerry Maguire said, Liam's saying, we'll show him the money, and if they're not got to pay Liam right for it, then Liam won't fight. Like you say, Liam can sit tight, and he'll get his world title shot. So that's it. It's up to them to deliver it. But it'll be a good fight if it happens. Like I say, I know there's other fighters out there calling Kell Brook out over in America. He's not short on options, so I'm sure Kell will sit down with his management team and look at which is the best route for him. And if it's Liam Smith, it's Liam Smith. But everyone concerned in that fight has to make sure that Liam gets paid well and is recognised as the A side.
I saw Eddie did a few interviews at the back end of last week, and he was saying he sees that as a potential stadium fight. Is it big enough to be a stadium fight?
Yeah, any fight's a stadium fight. Depends how many people you try to get into the stadium. It depends whether that's got to be the main event or if that's got to be a chief support. If it's a stadium fight, of course, it could be chief support to Joshua at Tottenham or Arsenal or wherever he's got to be. Of course, it's a stadium fight. Is it a stadium fight to sell out a Sheffield Stadium? No. Is it a stadium fight to sell out Anfield? No, it's not. If it's part of a pay-per-view event in a stadium, yeah, but I don't think it can stand as a headline act in a stadium fight if you've got to sell it out as a stadium, unless they bang an unbelievable undercard on it. But Anfield now, I think it's like 55,000, whatever their attendance is now, and Sheffield, whatever theirs is. So it's a stadium, but any fight's a stadium fight if you cut it out, or an arena where they're curtain things off. But I don't think it's a fitting of a stadium fight. But like I say, whether it be on the undercard of an AJ at Tottenham or a Wembley or anything else, yeah, of course.
Obviously, Kell Brook fighting Mark DeLuca this past weekend. What did you make of Kell's performance? Did you see the ring rust in there?
No, I just thought Mark DeLuca was very bad. I thought he was very bad. He was very poor. So, yeah, Kell Brook did what he had to do. And I think I'm not going to sit here and run down Kell Brook. I think no fighter at 34 is the same fighter as they were at 27. And I don't think Liam Smith is the same fighter as he was at 27. I think Father Time catches up with everyone a little bit, but Kell Brook showed in that fight, took him a few rounds to get going. He'd been out a long time. He put some spite and venom in his shots, chopped down well in his shots, and it's a confidence rebuilding. He's been out of the gym for a long time. It's getting back that partnership again, working with Dominic again after being away for so long. So he took care of business in the way that he did do against a below standard opponent, and like you say, Kell did what he had to do and beat what was in front of him.
How would a bout between Liam and Kell play out? I know they obviously previously sparred together, but how would an actual fight play out?
Yeah, I think it'll be a competitive fight. Obviously, they've sparred before, but you can't take nothing from sparring. And I was very disappointed that I seen Sky putting that footage out the other day. I thought, they never asked my permission, they never asked Dominic Ingles neither. And what goes on in sparring goes on in sparring. That type of sparring was for Kell at the time getting ready for Triple G and for Liam getting ready for Canelo. And I thought it was a bit naughty of them, really, that they didn't phone either of us up and asked either the fighters. And especially when it was fight week for Kell Brook, I thought it was just a dirty trick. And it was nothing to do on our behalf of it as well. I think it was below. But as far as the fight, if it went ahead, I think it'd be a competitive fight. Kell Brook's a good fighter. There's no doubt about it. We've seen we were there in America. We beat Sean Porter and Liam Smith. As you've seen, he's fought the best. He's been in with the best. Been in with Canelo. Beat Liam Williams twice. World champion himself. Liam's never ducked a challenge in his life, and you can't say Kell Brook hasn't neither. He's stepped in against Triple G and Errol Spence, so there's no question. None of their fighting pride, and both men are fighters and will fight anyone in front of them. And I think that's what would make it a good fight as well. No one will want to back down and they want bragging rights. And yeah, it'd be a tasty fight.
Let's move on to Liam's brother Callum, a man whose name is always being brought up now alongside Billy Joe Saunders with regards to the Canelo fight. What update can you give us, Joe, with how the land lies there?
Yeah, just like everyone's social medias. Obviously, you get people sometimes inboxing you from America saying, "Oh, they've heard this and they've heard that," and Murata and Callum-Smith's got it, or Billy Joe's going to be announced, and there's lots of red herrings thrown about. I'm sure there'll be another name be announced and put out there very shortly. And maybe could be fighting Canelo, with it not being Billy Joe and with Callum, but from there to believe, and hopefully things are right and we do get the fight, Callum gets the fight, it'll be a great fight and a great opportunity for Callum-Smith. And if it doesn't and Billy Joe gets it, I think Billy Joe will acquit himself very well and cause Canelo problems. And listen, there's no competition between us, it's just like I said, we all want that ticket to the golden ticket to the main event, and hopefully they get it. And like I say to you, if Callum gets Canelo, then I'm hearing Billy Joe Ryder's a fight that's been talked about. And then obviously if Billy Joe gets it, there's also unfinished business with Callum and Ryder, or Callum Jacobs and like Billy Joe Andrade. So there's a multiple scenarios to be played out, but the man who makes them decisions is Canelo and his team, and I'm sure there'll be a decision and an announcement made very soon.
How long do you think it will be until we find out who has got that fight? And do you think it is likely it will be either Callum or Billy Joe?
I'm hoping it'll be Callum or Billy Joe, and I think it'll be very soon. I think May the 2nd's only 11 weeks away, and I think most will be after this week, next week. There'll be an announcement, should be an announcement. Eddie knows. Eddie's in a bit of a difficult position, really, because obviously he promotes Billy Joe, he promotes Callum, and he also has a vested interest with DAZN, so I'm sure he's trying to get the fighters the most money, but at the same time with the DAZN board, they don't want to pay the most money, so he's in a difficult position as well. So like you say, I think that decision is taken away from him. I think Alvarez makes the decision, he tells them to go out and make the fight with that opponent, so hopefully that happens next week as well, and hopefully, like I say, Callum's got that.
How's Callum dealing with it? Obviously, you've just mentioned it's basically down to Canelo who he chooses. How's Callum dealing with that, knowing that his next fight is basically in the hands of somebody else completely? He has no say whatsoever until he knows what's happening there.
Yeah, Callum's all right. He's busy. We've already said we'd be out around that time. April the 26th is a date that was mentioned to us, and we said we'll take that date. So we're training now at the moment. We're back in the gym. We're training. So if it isn't that week, then it's the week later, or if it's the week later, if it's not that week, it's the week before. So we're talking within a 7 days period, Callum-Smith will be fighting. So I'm not sure with that April the 26th, what we've spoke about, correspondence we've had up to now, would be in America. So that's what we want to do, and that's what we're working towards.
Obviously, to move away from Callum and on to Sam Hyde. How's Sam been since he's come back? I know he's only had a few days back now, but since his defeat to Dion Juma, how's he been feeling? What kind of conversations have you had with him?
Not like anything. No one likes to lose, do they? I think when he's gone away and sat down and watched and reflected and looked back on it, he had the fight, he had it won, it was up to him. And for whatever reason, he switched off in The 2 rounds cost him the fight, but you can't buy that experience, and you have to go there and go through it again. But he's licked his wounds, he's come back and he's gone on it. And when you're in the gym and when you look at fighters you train alongside, like Anthony Crolla had early setbacks in the career, and Jose Burton with the Frank Buglione, he's surrounded by people that can dust themselves down and come back again. And he's still young, but the positives from it, he's been in twice now with Riakporhe and Dion Juma, and he's run them close, and he's not that far off. And both them fights, he had the beating and the winning of them, and it was only through an eye injury and obviously him switching off for 2 rounds. And listen, I'm not taking nothing away from Dion Juma. He applied himself well, and good luck to him. But it's up to Sam Hyde to lick his wounds and come back and go again.
What is the plan for Sam then on the back of that defeat? How have you kind of seen the rest of this year playing out for him?
Sam, I'd like it to get him out straight away again, get him out, bring him in a comeback fight and put him straight back out there in that title mix, whether it be Chris Billam-Smith or a British title fight. If Riakporhe gives it up, do a rematch with Dion Juma. There's lots of fights out there for him, but I don't want him to sit back down and start going through the motions of 4s, 6s and 8s. It's a lively division, and I think by doing that you start blunting your tools that you've sharpened for the big fights. You want to go again, and I think at that stage of your career you want to. You've got your youth behind you, and you want to go and make money, be involved in the fights, and I think he's in an exciting division where there is big fights for him to be made.
Obviously Sam's faced both Dion Juma and Richard Riakporhe now. With that being a final eliminator, when Sam fought Dion Juma for a British title, what are your thoughts on about between Richard and Dion?
I think it'll be a very good fight. I think obviously Riakporhe with his punching power, his awkwardness will cause problems for anyone else, but Dion Juma, a good boxing brain on him. It'd be a very interesting fight. It'd be very interesting. It's a hard one to pick. Obviously, if Riakporhe hits you clean, he's got a good chance of putting you out. But like I say, if he doesn't hit you, and Dion Juma has got that skill set to make you miss and make you pay, it'll be an interesting fight. It's a hard one to pick. I'd have to sit down and analyse it close to the time, but it's a very winnable fight for each fighter.
And obviously Paul Butler, how's he been looking, and what kind of have you got lined up for him? I know you previously spoke about the European title to me last time I came up. Where does the land lie with him? Yeah,
Paul's in the gym, he's training. Hopefully we've got to get him out soon. I need to speak to Eddie, get him out on a bill just to warm up for the year. He was out in December, we just need another fight, and then hopefully we're going to try and get him in a title fight of some sort. So obviously you had the Rigondeaux at the weekend win. You've got that Inoue fight that's happening. Also on the undercard of that you got Joshua Greer versus Maloney. So the division's beginning to open up now. There's fights to be made, and hopefully Paul will get an opportunity to fight for a big title of some sorts coming up.
What are your thoughts on Inoue's fight against Casemiro?
That's a good fight, that, but I do feel Inoue's the man, isn't he? He's class Inoue. I'd like to see Inoue Rigondeaux. That'd be a good fight.
Do you still think Rigondeaux's good enough to deliver a performance of beating Inoue at this stage of his career? Well,
I think when you're seeing his reflexes in round 1 the other day where he had Solis nearly out, you just can't rule Rigondeaux out. I don't care whether it's 39, 49 or 59. If you got it, you got it. I do feel there's wear and tear on him, but Rigondeaux knows that himself, and he knows the best way to win a fight, and he showed the other day he'd win by any means necessary. And we're very quick to praise Anthony Joshua for his way that he boxed, safety first, but then we're all putting the boot in Rigondeaux for doing a similar thing. It's you can't win the kid Rigondeaux. I'm a huge fan of his, and I think he's a very good fighter.
And obviously Jose Burton now getting ready for March 20th. Has he been ticking over?
Good, Jose. We had a good chat with him the other day, not to get carried away in his win, and he's getting a little bit of media attention and a bit of write-ups, but we know that there's 3 other fighters in the competition, all capable of winning it. They'll be training hard, they'll be locked away like Mr. T, and they'll be out to prove a point. And we've got to make sure that we're training even harder than what they are. We're in the semi-final stage, and if you take your eye off the ball now, you're knackered. I feel if we apply ourselves the way that we did for our last contest, where your career's riding on it, same again, having that fear factor, then we'll come out victorious in the semi-finals and book our place in the final. So that's the mindset, and hopefully he's doing that, as you've seen today.
Obviously, you've got Anthony Crolla back now as a trainer and not as a fighter. What's it been like having Anthony back in around the lads?
Yeah, no, great. Anthony's always been a popular person in the gymnasium. He's always helped me out on the big fights. He's always been in the corner with me. I've always bounced stuff off with him. And it's good to keep him in the gymnasium and bring him in a couple of times a week, help out. And the rest of the lads like Anthony's, bit like Manchester United at the moment, they're lacking in the changing rooms and sometimes in a gymnasium, especially the gymnasium that's been functioning for the last 10 years of having 10 to 12 fighters in it, having good banter and good chat and terrible conversations about your Love Islands and your Kardashians. And Crolla brings that, and the lads like him, and him helping out on the pads and taking some of them on it and educating him, showing different things or looking at different things. He's learning, and it'll help him with his crop of fighters that he's training as well. And there's one thing for Anthony, he's enjoyed the big time as a fighter and also in the corner of me in the big fights, and he's got vast experience and he's picking up knowledge now, and he's got to make a good career as a coach if he chooses to stick at that.
Also, one person I forgot to mention, Scott Quigg. He's back now. How's it been like having Scott back in amongst yourself and the lads once again? Did you ever imagine he would have returned?
No, but I've always said the door was open. Scott's just come in, slotted back in again, knows everyone. I think from where he was here till now he's come back, everyone's matured, everyone has an opinion. And like you say, there's lots of champions in the gym, lots of top fighters, and like you say, it's good for Scott Quigg to be rubbing off on that. But Scott's fitted back in, he's working away, and he's got a big fight coming up on March the 7th. John O'Carroll, good fighter, hungry fighter, 26, 27 years of age. Reminds me a lot of himself of Scott Quigg at that age. A demon trainer, lives the life right, and will leave no stone unturned. He has a very good coach behind him as well, Albert, who I know was a very good amateur. And they'll be coming to try and pull off the big upset. So there's pressure on Scott Quigg, and I like pressure on Scott Quigg because I feel Scott Quigg performs when that pressure is on.
Obviously, Callum Johnson's a mandatory challenger for the EBU title. Is that set for March 7th, or is there a date or anything yet? Because I haven't seen anything official as far as I'm aware.
No, I think there was possibly talk last time I heard it's got to be April the 4th in Newcastle. I need to speak to Eddie and just finalise that, because there was talk also of a Bivol fight, which Callum Johnson has snapped the hands off for. So I just need to speak to Eddie and see where we are with that. But as far as I know, it's April the 4th. Callum Johnson challenges for the European title, and that's another good fight and a good win there. Will put him in the world titles picture again.
Also, you just mentioned Dimitri Bivol. I only found out the other day he fought Callum-Smith as an amateur. Did you know that, Joe?
Yeah, I did. I've known that all along, yeah.
Have you seen any other footage? Because obviously I haven't. So.
No, I haven't. I've just heard it was a close competitive fight. It was a good fight. It was on some multi-nation tournament somewhere before. But it's mad like when you hear all that multi-nations tournaments and who's fought who and everything else. It's surprising some bouts that pop up. So that was a good fight from what I believe. Yeah.
The most surprising bout I've ever heard about from an amateur perspective was Sean Porter versus Alexander Usyk.
No way.
Yeah, as amateurs. So could you ever actually imagine them to have meeting?
Wow, no, Usyk's put some weight on since then, hasn't it? It's just mad, isn't it? It's mad to think how Callum-Smith used to box at such a low weight division when he did at the time. So, it's mad, isn't it?
Just to stick with, obviously, boss, I say stick with Callum, but stick with his division as we just come back to him. Obviously, Caleb Plant faces Vincent Fagenbutz this weekend. What are your thoughts on that fight?
A very good fight. I like Fagenbutz. I've seen him live a couple of times. He has power, quite raw, but he can punch. But I like Caleb Plant, good fighter. Listen, you cannot like him, what he's been through and everything else, and what a good success story. That was a really good sporting success story, him becoming a world champion. And he's a very good, talented fighter. I think he just outmaneuvers, pickpockets, outpunches, and he'll do enough. Unless Fagenbutz lands, there's nothing to suggest there's nothing wrong with Plant's chin neither. But I do fancy Plant to win and set up the unification fight with Benavidez later on in the year.
After just the last couple of quick things, just wanted to get your thoughts on Wilder Fury 2 next weekend, Joe. Just break it down for me. How do you see it going?
It's a very good fight. I do think that Tyson Fury has the potential to stop Wilder. I do think I understand what he's on about, sitting down on his punches, punching. If you sit back and watch the first fight, there was moments and opportunities in that fight where Tyson Fury pushed Wilder back, threw punches and landed well. I think if Tyson Fury counter punches well from Wilder, because Wilder's non-punching hand is never in a position of defence for a counter, he's open for counters, and not too good in his feet neither. So yeah, I won't be surprised if Tyson Fury went in there and stopped Deontay Wilder. I think it's a very, very achievable thing to do and go and get that type of result in there. Foot movement, knowing where you are in the ring, just that Tyson has to be aware of that wild, out of peripheral vision punch that Wilder shoots from. He throws the shot so wide that you don't see them coming round. Yeah, that's it. But I do think Tyson Fury has the capability of stopping Deontay Wilder.
Which fight do you think's bigger from an undisputed perspective, AJ Fury or AJ Wilder?
Oh, that's no surprise. That's a question. That AJ Fury, 100%. I think AJ Fury, Old Trafford, Wembley, wherever you want to put it, sells it out. I think that fight's made. I think people would be surprised how many people would be back AJ Fury. I think how many people would be surprised that the fans would be picking Fury over AJ. No, Wilder Fury isn't. Wilder AJ isn't the big fight that Fury AJ is. No, I'm surprised that that's a question.
Is that big in regards to you think it's big just in the UK, but on a world scale, that obviously you've got the American and the UK market that you can cross over then? Do you still feel that AJ Fury would still be bigger?
No, I don't think AJ is the big name in America yet. I just don't think he is. Obviously, he's fought there. I think he's a name, but because of his loss to Ruiz, does that make sense? Yeah. So his name there, and the Americans will look at, okay, then you beat Ruiz, but it still only makes you the third best heavyweight in the world. The two best is Fury and Wilder, and I think Fury's a bigger name in America to an extent because of the Wilder fight, because of the WWE, because of whatever. It's been a slow build, it's been a hard sell, and I think fair play to Fury, the marketing and the rebuilding job of him, from him being took off the BBC Sports Personality of the Year awards to now this Thursday ITV doing a behind the scenes Tyson Fury. That's a great rebuilding job, and I think it'd be fitting for Tyson Fury then to becoming world champion again. The resurrection and the comeback is complete, and then it leads all roads then to a Fury and AJ, and I'd love to see that fight at Old Trafford.
Obviously, just in the meantime, we have AJ Purewal, seems close to being agreed. What are your thoughts on that one, Joe?
I think it's a hard fight. I think Purewal is a good fighter, competent, good basics. I think AJ, now he's brought another side to his game. If he fights like that, I think he wins that fight easy enough. Do you know what I mean? I think AJ's glad he's back. He's got his titles. He's learnt by his mistakes. And he's applied and improved, and he's got to keep doing that and don't stand still and keep moving. He's not the complete product yet, and he has to keep moving and adding to his game, but I expect AJ to beat Purewal.
Finally, Joe, as I put it to a few of the other lads, Valentine's Day on Friday, what have you got up your sleeve?
Nothing, just in the gym working away. There's no love lost in it. There's no love in Gallagher's gym on a Friday. It's just business as usual. It's just Friday, and business is business and work's work, and that's it. And I must probably watch the boxing Golden Boy doing a show Friday night, aren't they? So I must we get some dodgy streams somewhere and watch that.
Well, Joe, I appreciate your time as always. We'll leave it there now and I'll let you crack on and enjoy the rest of your day, and I will catch up with you soon. Thank you. Speak to myself at Boxing Social.
No problem, Andy. And what does Andy from Boxing Social do on Valentine's?
I haven't planned anything yet for my girlfriends, but I'm hoping I'll pull something out of a bag, Joe. I'm pretty good with occasions, but we'll soon see. I'll let you know. But Joe, it's good to catch up with you, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Cheers, no problem, mate.
Cheers, Joe.